Everybody's happy.
All right, I show 7 o'clock. Are we ready to come to order?
Oh, that's
I don't know.
All right. It is 7 o'clock. Roll call, please.
Arnold,
Here.
Beckwith,
Here.
Farcapisi,
here.
Flores,
Here.
Cotsinis,
Here.
Hamilton,
Here.
Sutton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mission statement: to enrich, empower, and enlighten the people of the Warren Newport Public Library District. Do we have any public comment today? All right. Moving on to legal memorandum. Do we have any?
We have correspondence and is the invitation to the volunteer luncheon for each one of you. This is for you. And then you pass it around? This is yours.
Thank you for saving on the postage.
That's usually.
Yeah, that was Laura's idea.
Alphabetical order.
I've heard a hand-delivered invitation is the height of politeness. Yes.
Oh, that's really nice. Yeah.
Yay.
And
Okay.
consent agenda. Does anyone have a motion for the consent agenda?
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Who's second? Bonnie.
We did together, but B comes before.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Nothing was removed from the consent agenda. President's report is on page 11. Any questions? If not, does any other trustee have a report?
I also attended the Love Your Library event. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
We had our first Library of Things checkout, and my daughter is obsessed. She got a microphone and is now hosting a podcast.
That's great. That's awesome.
She's 10.
Wow. That's impressive.
She was so excited when it came in.
It's fun to look and see what's there. I really.
I'm on the waiting list for the knife sharpener.
The knife sharpener. Be careful. Many of us were at the local services presentation.
Right.
But it was very well done.
It
I have
was.
to say, for all the work that went into it, I was sad not to have more of it,
I
just
still think
staff
it
and
was
us.
valuable. in
Oh,
that
it was.
If people come back, well, we did everything we could.
Well, and
Yeah.
it was a good way to consolidate all the information, I thought.
Mhm.
I thought it was very well done, so, thank you.
So something unrelated to our library, just have to say, my wife this weekend took advantage of the passport services at Gale Borden Public Library. Which I have to say, very
Where's that?
useful service. Love to be able to explore to do something like that here in the future.
Where was that?
Which library?
Gale Borden.
Where is that?
That's in Elgin.
In
Oh.
Elgin, okay. Huh. Much bigger.
Also, Ela
library.
area does it as well, and so does Round Lake.
Oh,
I think
really?
I've been to
Well,
Brown
that's
Lake.
good.
Yeah.
What is it?
Does Waukegan?
Passport service. So as opposed to going to the
okay.
post
Yeah.
office, for example, you could go to
Yeah.
the library.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I was thinking
So-
passport and I was just thinking of the museum pass. So I was like, wait, what? I need.
It's good to know.
Yeah, that really is a nice.
She had a
nice
complicated
feature.
passport renewal, so
Yeah.
it was nice to have help with it.
Yeah, cool.
That's nice.
Moving on to Executive Director's Report, page 12.
Yeah, so I have some exciting news to share with the board. The library is the recipient of two 2024 Core PR Exchange Awards. I think we're one of 3 libraries in Rails to win, and we won 2 awards. So we won one for the Inside Angle this issue.
Oh,
That
So
was a nice
I
one.
can pass this around if you don't recall it.
Yay.
And then I can show it on the screen. The Dia de los Muertos display we did in the lobby also was an award winner. And they don't do it like it was not first, second, third. They do it based on your budget. So we're the 5 to 10 million category. So I'll pass this around this press release. So you can see for external communications, inside angle, and then the exhibits. So, yeah, so really proud of our all the staff that contributed to those awards. They did great work. So
Wow.
Cool. Are we gonna, can we amend our?
They just sent me over
I'm just
forms.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's
Jo-
filed with
Joking
the
us,
county.
Sammy, over here.
No. We'll save it for next time. 10 years from now.
Right, yeah, you make it count.
That's awesome.
And it might have been an oversight because I do think we won for the inside angle like in 2015 or 2016 if memory serves. So I think I guess we forgot to mention it. But
Very nice.
so in terms of the banks, the request for information, we have 4 returns. We're in the process of reviewing them, so we'll look to see what kind of deals are out there for us possibly. We'll get back to the board when we have a chance to properly review those. Following up the last board meeting, there was a question about the PMA account. I did confirm it is basically where when our CDs mature, those are those non-invested funds before they go back into CDs. So the rate on the PMA account is 5.31%. LMI funds is 5.423%, so which is slightly higher than PMA. And then the CDs, earlier in the year, a higher return, and then the recent ones are a lower return. But we're keeping that ladder going, so we will continue to invest and that comes back in. So it's an update on that. So there was a question on the
Thank you.
monthly financials, yeah. And the other thing I want to point out is we had the space auditor here last week. We should expect to report 4 to 6 weeks. It was really good, and I think he confirmed some things we were thinking about our space, probably some things that are obvious to the board as well. Like if you look at patron suggestions, this month someone talked about where the large print collection is located. That's something we've done for a while. It doesn't make any sense to us to go back to the library. Another thing that was discussed, like where the iPads are, where some parents don't like the iPads in the library, but there are other parents that, they don't have those devices at home. So he talked about the idea of, what are the things that he'll have in his report. And as he said to us, this is not the Bible, his report. These are suggestions that he has. Could you set up the use space where you could have like an experiences section and then a section more of like a traditional library where you could read to your kids, that type of thing. So he had some really good ideas, talked about merchandise in our collection, so we'll talk more about that in the future. But it was a good feedback from him, and he had a lot of insight and things we were thinking and some things we weren't really thinking about. So
Yeah.
it'll be good to get that report and talk about it.
Did
So
you say 4 to 6 weeks? Is that what you?
yeah, 4 to 6 weeks. So yeah, and that's about it. And unless there are any questions about the report in the packet specifically.
So I had a question. 2 teens suspended for 1 year
That's
for
where I was
theft.
going.
Yeah, these were at least one. Were both of these teens repeat offenders, or just one of them?
So they were repeat offenders, but it would have been a year anyway, given the severity of what it was. So, and when we say they're repeat offenders, it was more along the lines of like language disorderly, end of day, end of day, end of day, and then this just.
Yeah, when I say I just mean like
Yeah.
we've had some issues. Yeah, so this was theft, and we had to get Gurney PD involved, and the item was returned to the student that they stole it from. But it was so.
Oh, I thought it was from the
Library
library.
It wasn't library
That's what I
property,
thought.
yeah. So it was kids,
Oh,
unfortunately, that
silly
took
kids.
something too far, I think,
Yeah.
so. I mean, they can obviously welcome to come and appeal to the board, I don't know
They were
that.
told that yesterday.
Yes, so
both
if
came
they
in
wanna
and
make
given
an appeal to the
I
board,
look
they're
forward to
welcome,
seeing them.
they're
That'd be
welcome.
nice.
So,
I had a comment in the patron comments about the notation about when a CD or something is skipping or whatever.
Yeah.
And it said adopting it right away. Such a simple solution. I've had so many ones that they all pretty much all skip or whatever, or I remember it. And I've never read the second half of the Ayn Rand Atlas Shrugged. Like only the first half of the book was there in CD. The second half is never, I don't know about the last 5 years, but to this day, I've never listened to the second half of that book. 'Cause the
CCS
first
is your,
half was like-
CCS is your friend, Andrea, we can get it from the library if we don't have it.
Well, when it comes up on my
Do
list,
the audiobook.
it was an audiobook.
Like
Right,
It's on
but
CD.
download,
Oh,
a
no,
downloadable
I understand
one.
they're alternate, but, I was like, somebody else checked it out, but it was never
Well, that's
returned.
frustrating.
Yeah, that is frustrating, yeah. That is a bummer when you get an audiobook, it's happened to all of us probably, where you get
But
one.
I think what a great suggestion, and
Yeah.
it was one of the few patrons, yes, we'll do that, right? That's it. So I just thought it was a really good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
All right, any other questions about the executive director's report? If not, let's move on to old business, automated materials handling system.
Yeah, so our attorney was finally satisfied, so we're some back and forth with their contracts people and our attorney, but that is settled, and so Thursday, we're having our meeting to finalize our timeline. We're still looking at a fall installation at the end of the day, and you'll see as you're signing checks that the first, initial payment, we'll submit that to Linso. So, but yeah, I'm excited to have that hurdle cleared, because that, took about a week to get everyone happy with the contracts, so. But, I trust our lawyers to make sure that we're protected, so, I'm glad that they're satisfied with it now. And, so we'll moving forward with that.
All right. Then mobile services update.
Just to let the board know in terms of the surveys, we have an English and Spanish version, and we have one Spanish, and that might have been Gina's test. I'm not sure. I was going to ask her about that. and we have 8 English. So we'll continue to wait. So we're going to keep it open for another week, and it's probably on the front page of the website. So we'll see.
And that's
We'll see
open
if it
until
works.
Memorial Day?
Yes,
Okay.
So there's 9 total, is that what you're saying?
9 total.
Okay.
And I've not looked at them to see what the results say
Right.
at
No,
this time.
that's
So.
good.
I wasn't able to make the event. Can I get like a 2-minute update of what I missed?
Oh, yeah,
maybe?
we should have mentioned that, because I think the majority of the board, and that's okay that you weren't. So the room consisted primarily of trustees, staff, or people related to either a trustee or a staff member. And the Spanish interpreter was there, and I think that was it, honestly. I don't think
Oh,
we had
I see.
anyone.
Yeah.
But,
Was it the competing event? Is that why?
well, I don't know. I mean, the weather was really bad. The weather was really
rainy.
bad.
Oh, that's
Right, rainy night.
Storm.
Yeah, but we went through and did the presentation as which you essentially saw in the board meeting, was it the, but yeah, we talked about the different options, and it was good, and as Andrea pointed out, I think it was a good exercise, and the information is out there, and so we were very transparent about our thought process. with
None of the
moving
people
forward.
who made presentations when they were unhappy with it before showed up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've done everything we can, we've communicated, we've tried to communicate. I mean, I believe everybody who showed up to speak that night was emailed or let them know that this presentation was happening, and,
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Yeah,
They
so-
can't come back and say, we didn't tell you, you pulled a fast one on us.
Well, and Scott did a nice job after we all talked about streamlining, I thought,
Mhm.
so that he hit just the really, important parts without not that he could bore anybody that wasn't there, but you know what I mean? I thought he did a nice thing, you guys did a nice job of making it succinct.
Yeah.
So people were emailed?
We talked to people on the routes, right, about it? Yeah, so we did not, to be clear, we did not call up every individual person that came to that meeting long ago, but we did let people know on the current routes. Yeah, and that includes some people that were part of this before.
And it had been posted on online forums, with.
Gurney moms,
Any
yeah.
responses, so.
Yeah, well,
And that's where a lot of the feedback was happening before.
No, I think the staff has done everything they can to communicate, and I'm good. If they come back, then I'm not gonna have any sympathy.
Well, and I really think too that with I think the biggest thing, going back, is the loss of that service right there on your street. I think that was the
Right.
thing, and that's, that's something that we weren't proposing even with the new Techmobile, right?
Right.
That was such a, a really, something that we perpetuated for too long, and so I think that was already kind of lost.
And hopefully, I know people were disappointed at the beginning, but now they've had a chance to see what it is we're doing. And,
How it's gonna look.
yeah, how it's, so hopefully they're a little more accepting of that.
And I think the whole
Changes
board
that.
and all the staff love the bookmobile, love the stops, we just couldn't keep up the cost with this few people who used it, utilized it.
Right. And as we've talked about too, we see a lot of those same individuals that come into the library. So access certainly may be an issue for some individuals to get here, but we know that's not the case for everybody, because they're coming to our events, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget process then.
Yeah, we're continuing to work on the budget. We'll have a new version at the committee of the whole. So we're, I think at this point, we're talking about minor tweaks. I think we might want to, there was some, some obvious, low-cost suggestions that the space auditor presented to us that we can talk about, and we're talking about essentially merchandising displays for the front of the lobby, and I think we're talking like $7,000. So we'll talk about that more at the next discussion of the budget. But I don't think we're talking about any major changes beyond what we've already talked about. I think that there is some, depending on what that report looks like, some excitement about maybe implementing some things that would be more money. But I think that's one of those. The more I think about that, I still would want to go forward with approving our budget in June. And if we decided, this is, because if you look at the 10-year capital plan, next fiscal year is when we've slotted funds for that adult space refresh that we started before COVID hit. And, essentially, those funds are, he's talking about, anything. He was really impressed with the layout of our space, but just reconfiguring some things. So we're not talking like a building project, like construction, breaking out walls. So we may be able to make some big impact changes, if the board agreed, of course, with not a lot of money. So, we could talk about that or look at the next fiscal year to do some of those changes. We'll see. Obviously, it's way too premature to have those discussions, but. Any other questions about the budget process?
So committee of the whole will get the final budget to review in detail then?
Yeah,
Ready.
barring tweaks before the final, but yeah, hopefully, yes, close to final, almost final.
So just as a reminder to everyone to look and see if you have any questions, so that we ask them that night and not board night. Even if you're not gonna be here, you can send in your question.
I do have a question, and I'm glad you brought that up, Andrea, because this is one of the things I wanted to mention here. I do a budget narrative that I put together each year, and I kind of borrowed the format from my predecessor, but I simplified it a little bit, at least I think I did, because I thought this is just too much information.
We like simple.
And I'm wondering if the board would like me to further simplify that budget narrative, because I don't, on one hand, it's nice to have out there, so if a member of the public wanted to look, it's the story of the budget, what we're going to do. On the other hand, it's a lot of work, and I know people aren't looking at it for the most part. I'm not sure the entire board reads the whole thing, and that's okay. You don't have to say anything if you don't. But what do you want me to further try to simplify it? Would that be a good thing? Because sometimes less is more. Or do you like the way it is now, that with the kind of the story of the budget? This is what our income's looking like, and here's it's like basically a paragraph or two about our income sources, our expenditures. Do you like that, or do you want?
I don't remember it being overly long.
It's not overly long.
Is it 3-4 pages?
No,
Two?
like,
Not even
like 12 pages,
Oh.
12 to
I
15,
don't
something like
remember.
that.
12 to 15 is a lot.
Yeah.
That
I
is.
mean, it should provide information for the board, but also, when someone looks back and say, why did we put this big expansion on here? Or, maybe use it for future stuff, but it doesn't have to be overly complicated.
Right.
I mean,
Shorten it.
Substance
Yeah.
over,
Yeah.
substance
But
over
not too
form.
much. Let's make sure because it's not just for us. It's also, like you said, for the public to understand what we're doing.
Right. And I'm happy to do it however. I also want it to be like a use of everyone's time, right?
Right.
Including the public, because if I'm a member of the public and I go on and see this 12-page document.
And I
Yeah,
think
We're
that's-
not gonna read that.
Yeah, 10 to
there are
15
some-
pages may be a little too much. Half that.
There's some large, commercial real estate, places that pay a lot of real estate tax, and they may look at it in depth.
Mhm.
So we want to provide them enough information so they know what we're budgeting for.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, so I'm just thinking, keep the content but cut out some of the narrative, is what I'm thinking.
I like bullet points and things
Yeah,
like that.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So maybe that's what I'll do instead of like, this, maybe I'll just do bullet points then. Just try to keep the content, but the, the story part, if it's not a combined story, then
Yeah,
I'll cut that part out.
got that.
ChatGPT can do it for you. Just
Yeah.
read it.
No, I'm not yet impressed. Okay. Moving on to new business. Approval of secretary's reports. Now, I see that we've got this as one motion. I think we should make this two because we do have different people who are absent on those 2 days.
In both days, Celeste Flores was absent, and just one day, Catherine was absent.
Yeah, so let's do that as two separate motions. So do we have a motion for the minutes for regular meeting on April 16th?
I move that we approve the secretary's reports from April 16th, 2024.
I'll second.
And so roll call.
Farkapisi,
aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Arnold,
Abstain.
Flores,
Abstain.
Katsinis,
Aye.
ayes have it.
And now can we do one for the special meeting?
I move we accept the minutes of the special meeting of May 7th, 2024, as presented.
I'll second that.
Roll call for this one too, please.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Arnold,
Aye.
Flores,
Abstain.
Katsinis,
Aye.
ayes have it.
All right, and now the reports of the standing committees.
Are these normally, or,
They're normally part of consent, but we have people who are present that day.
okay.
So we have a motion for that one.
I move that we accept the reports of the Standing Committee of the Whole, from the Standing Committee of the Whole, May 7th, 2024.
I'll second it.
All right, roll call for this one too, please.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Arnold,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Flores,
Abstain.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Katsinis,
Aye.
ayes have it.
All right, board policy 3048.
Oh, yeah.
We are going to carry that over to June because we don't have the, so we need to have the furniture there for them to do the occupancy count, so.
Okay.
So
So, yeah.
we're still on a delay, but we're still okay in terms of our timeline, in terms of when we need to get it approved, so.
So let's pass this one on for next month.
Will the June board meeting be soon enough, or do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, tentative transfer of funds, expendable trust to endowment fund.
Yeah, we looked at this in the board, verbally agreed at the committee of the whole that we would transfer $10,000 into the endowment fund.
Do I need to abstain? I mean, everybody.
No.
No, this is a motion to
Yeah.
move the 10,000.
Yeah. you-
Right, but I wasn't here when we
Oh, no.
discussed
No,
this.
no, we're
You
doing
can-
it now.
Oh, should
You'll be
action.
voting to
not
move it or
good.
not.
Oh.
I move that the board approve the transfer of $10,000 from the expendable trust fund to the expendable, to the endowment fund.
I'll second that.
All right, can we get a roll call for this since it is a financial matter?
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Flores,
Aye.
Arnold,
Aye.
Katsinis,
Aye.
ayes have it.
All right, and now strategic plan progress report. Page 35.
Yeah, so this is broken down by our strategic priorities. So those are communication, then programs, services, collection spaces, collection spaces, and then finally organizational health. So I'm really happy with where we are because we're about, I guess kind of the midway point if this is going through 2025.
Yeah, I was happy to see, goal E3, like that funds have been added to the budget for art display, because I've just thought it's so neat to have the students' displays at the events, but I know that sometimes I've seen them come off, but.
Speaking of student displays, have you guys seen the current student display? It's about how students love the library. I took a picture of one, I'll pass it around. Sorry.
No, yeah, so.
Yeah, and that's really needed because we've tried with those big events to,
Yeah.
put them up in the community room, and it just doesn't work very well because you're trying to do a program and people want to come see the art, so this will be better. And then it's a low investment, those aren't very expensive. Any questions about anything in the overview?
I'm just kind of excited about the space auditor. Every time I hear it, though, it sounds like outer space to me. So I think that it'll be interesting to see what he comes back with.
We kept referring to him as the space guy.
The
and
space
we-
guy.
For that reason.
Why is he not the spacey guy?
And then, I didn't know if, there was one that was pushed to the fall, so I wasn't sure if you guys, more time than the fall is needed. I didn't circle it,
The
sorry.
strategic marketing plan, or?
Was it that, there was something, maybe it was that, I thought I saw something later on that was pushed to the fall, but. It might have just been that one, sorry.
No, that's okay. And there's one it's actually one of the big goals this year, which is not on here, but it will, we still need to have a plan by October, is the website, which is a big one for us, because we know that the website is, no library pun intended, overdue for a revision. We've had this website since pre-COVID.
Oh, it was, goal E5. It's the, flag policy.
Yes, so that, we did talk about that, so I.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it needed to be pushed back or more, or if that was.
No, I think the idea was to look at it this fall and look for, so we would be prepared in 2025, and we decided to fly any additional flags.
Can I ask a question about C4? Those folks experiencing homelessness and high school students getting their library cards. I saw something on the website or something maybe in the inside angle about the 16-year-olds. How are you approaching people experiencing homelessness? How's that working?
So, we've issued a few cards through this, and
Okay.
in those circumstances, the patron expressed it.
Okay, that's what I
So-
wondered, if they come to you.
They
Okay.
do.
Okay.
We do have a number of people who, work with social services now in the library. And sometimes they have that conversation with staff at the adult reference desk, sometimes they have it with staff at the circulation desk. And then a staff member will approach them one-on-one.
Okay, awesome, thanks.
It's been very, very heartwarming.
Yeah, that's what I read that, I'm gonna be happy. So,
Yeah, and that's something we want to continue to look at. That came up, so there was a meeting of the, although it was only a few members attended, but the WNPL Community Engagement Task Force that was started when Maria Nava came on in 2022. So we had a meeting, and I sent out a survey to the group to kind of see how this group can evolve and continue to meet, because essentially it's kind of an advisory board of community stakeholders who represent different groups that we work with, and to get their, they have a pulse in the community to get their feedback. And that's one of the things that one of the members talked about, was making sure that we are taking down barriers for library card access, because if we have an event, we have groups into the library, and there's too many forms of identification they need to get a library card, then it's not there's only so much we can do with that visit, which is tough, because if you think about it, we've always looked at, and I understand this philosophy, we want to make sure that people are in our library district, because as taxpayers are supporting the library, and we don't necessarily want, the common thinking was we don't want to give library cards to people that aren't in the district, and I think that thinking is starting, well, not starting to change, but we want to make sure that anyone that we serve, that it's easy for them to get a card. We don't want to put up barriers where they don't need to be any. so.
Yeah.
Just because someone doesn't have a permanent residence in our district, doesn't mean they don't live in our district.
Right.
If it's
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
hotel room or whatever, families like that.
And can I share too, so our outreach team has been going to an event in Park City once a month, and over the last 2 months, they issued 10 new cards to Spanish speakers. So we have staff who are going along on those visits, and that's been also one of those things that's really amazing.
Yeah.
Well-
I tell you, it changes a kid's life when they feel the library is their library.
Mhm.
It's a whole different life trajectory.
Mhm. Yeah.
Joe, I'm sorry.
Very nice.
I agree.
Oh, is that what you were gonna say?
No, I was just liking what you said.
Question about going back to the space planning. So did the heat map show anything that surprised any of you?
Well,
The-
Well, we're still working
Or it's
with
still in
him to work on the
process.
heat map, yeah. So, yeah, he did share a few things. Rebecca and I had lunch with him, and he met with staff, and he shared some things with us, but he really was gathering information, and he has a process. He wouldn't share too many of his observations with us. I mean, some of the big ones, but yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what that says.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what was interesting about his visit, because I think sometimes we think of the library as, obviously, we serve 67,000 people, and they're all different. They all have different needs. There are different reasons they come here, right? And we kind of think of it as like, well, we have this section for this group. We've got the quiet reading room for those people that want the quiet space. We got Coco's Cove for the little ones. So we've got the vault for the teens. And the library in reality doesn't work that way, because people come in and use the same space, and it's a completely different audience. So the seniors that come in the morning use a space, and the teens that come in at 3 o'clock use a space, and they use it differently. So I think it kind of, at least opened my mind to like looking at the space, like, okay, it might serve these very different groups of people, but different times of the day. So it's a kind of a new way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Which seems like common sense, but yes.
Time frames.
Yeah.
So your
That's
morning,
interesting.
your afternoon, nap time slump, your after school, and then your evening. And you have very distinct groups using the libraries at different times. And since he was here, we've all been talking about it, and we're like, oh my gosh, why did we not see it in that same way
Yeah.
before?
So obvious now.
Right, right. Yeah. Mhm. So it was very eye-opening.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to bring people from outside.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Where are we?
Good.
All right. Moving on to potentially actionable items, agenda for 2020 or for June. Anything that's not on here?
We will add the policy 3048.
3048.
Yeah,
Okay.
or just move it.
Yes,
Yeah, we'll bring it down.
the workshop.
Anything else? Public forum, anyone want to speak? Announcements, anything that's not on here?
Trees are really starting to blow out there.
And I've been watching.
All right. Do we have a motion to enter into executive session?
Okay, before,
Yes,
I
please.
just want to add that HR manager Jen Hoy is here, and if she could be invited to executive session, I'd appreciate it.
All right. Can we have I'll say. I move that the board enter into executive session 5 ILCS 120/2.c-1 to review the compensation and performance of specific employees with Executive Director Ryan Livergood, Deputy Director Riley Present, along with HR professional Jennifer White.
I'll second. Right? We need that, right?
All right, roll call for this, please.
Arnold,
Aye.
Flores,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
ayes have it. It's 7:34?
7:35.
7:35, okay.
It's looking